Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on data engineering with Azure Synapse, the modern data warehouse. Welcome you all here. Firstly, let us tell you about something about ourselves. We are Royal Cyber, and we are a team of 1,200 plus people globally working in 10 to 12 countries around the globe, and we are working on some modern technologies like Google Cloud Platform, Amazon EMR, and Azure, Microsoft Azure platforms, as well as we are working on some e-commerce, web-based solutions, and mobile apps. So we are working on various technologies as a technology company. We are providing services and making products. So yeah, there's a lot of work been going on and successfully being delivered. This is we how this is what we are. So now I'll go through uh, a bit about myself. Uh, I am Inam, and I am a lead engineer here in Royal Cyber. My responsibilities here are to design the architectures of data solutions in terms of in data engineering side, and overall I have 7 to 8 years of experience in delivering data analytics solutions from like end-to-end solutions from ETL to BI. So I have an experience in end-to-end delivering solutions. So I got an idea about data engineering as well as BI side of thing, as well as on analytics, advanced analytics, and data science sort of things. Yeah, but my main focused area is for today is data engineering. So let us see with the agenda that we have for today. We'll go through from introduction to like, we'll tell you about firstly something related what the data engineering is, how it's done, and what is the idea about data engineering, and it's actually about. Then we'll see what is your Synapse Analytics have to do with the data engineering, and afterwards we'll dig deep into a bit more technical sides and see that integration SQL Analytics in terms of Azure Synapse and Spark in Azure Synapse, connective services with Azure Synapse, and security aspect of Azure Synapse. So, as I mentioned in our agenda, our first and foremost thing is to get you people familiar with what data engineering is. Data engineering is basically a process of extracting data from different sources. Okay, that could be of any type. Usually, they are structured, semi-structured. Could be images, anything, unstructured data, and then we have to perform certain set of operations on that extracted data and transform into a shape which then be loaded into a database, physical database, or in terms of files, and it's stored somewhere permanently or for the use of people as per need. So data engineering is a process of obtaining data, cleansing and transforming it, and then loading into a desired database or files where we can perform certain operations or BI use cases over it. So this is what data engineering is. Data engineering is all about creating, curating your data, and making it valuable, making raw data valuable, and make it into some sort of semi information that will be completely turned into information by data scientists or BI people. Yeah, so now we'll come to the point where we'll see, as you got familiarity with what data engineering is, now we'll see like what data engineering was before Azure Synapse. As you know, with the passage of time and now the technology has evolved, and evolved, right? Sorry, not involved, but evolved. Technology has evolved with time. Previously, we have some relational databases which were giving us complete solutions for the data warehousing, right? We have Teradata, we have IBM DB2 and everything, where we have to, keep our data for permanent usage of analytical use cases, and that was some reliable thing the people were doing. And then the technology evolved and they had come big data, and so we have to go through for certain things like Hadoop, Spark, and all that sort of stuff to compute our data with different specs, not only relational but semi-structured and unstructured within, uh, with with improved time complexity as well. But the thing is, we need different platforms to do each task. For example, if we want big data to implement in our company, then we need different sets of tools. And similarly, if we already having a data warehouse which is more reliable, so we need different sort of tools. So we have to merge these two somehow using certain techniques. But that was not easier in terms of implementing it. The cost of implementation, or even the workforce that was required and the skill set that you need, is always a difficult task. But now we'll see what Azure brings for you. Azure brings these two worlds together. I mean, with Azure Synapse, you can do what? You can actually perform your big data operations as well as your, traditional data warehousing in a single platform, in the same tool, and your cost of even your cost of in terms of your money, your cost in terms of effort, your cost in terms of workforce, all will be reduced because you need people with such a skill set which they were using previously, and you will give them a platform where they'll be able to implement those things easily without the hefty work to be done for configurations and all those things that we previously have to do. Yeah, here we come now. Here we come and see how Azure Synapse has modernized a data warehouse. Azure Synapse did what? It has provided you. It's a very high level kind of information given here in this slide, just to tell you that this Azure platform you can see has ability to connect with this on-premise data or cloud data, your software as service applications, and you can ingest your data using Azure Data Factory, right? And then you can prepare your data, transform and manage, and you can have a layer of SQL data warehouse, and you can store your data into a data lake as well. Yeah, so it's a high level thing that's telling you that a modern data warehouse needs everything at one shop, and your one shop is your analytics, and you can even visualize your data as well. So this is something that was not available previously in other solutions that's been done by your Synapse Analytics. Let us see what further Azure Synapse have in it. This slide is about telling you people the features that in terms of Microsoft is giving you in general availability feature versus preview features. The preview feature is the one which mostly people would I would recommend, because if you are implementing the solution, then you will need all these preview features. General availability features are like very common, but still if you want to have a full-fledged solution, you need a private preview feature uh, capabilities. So this is what you Microsoft is giving you in terms of Azure solution. There public review features, there are private preview features, and the private preview features in version 3. So this is the version 3 private features, which has, we'll show you in demo as well how we can use all these. Yeah. What really Azure Synapse Analytics offers you are in terms of rewards that can that can give to a person or a client or a company that is using, that will use, or that is using Azure Synapse Analytics. First of all, the cost effectiveness, the performance, and the cost over that performance is nothing. I, if you compare it to with the Amazon EMR or even other solutions that are running around with its competition, you will see that its performance wise price is nothing. It's very cost effective. It has the best security, to be honest. We will see the security prospect of it. Query execution, you can um, you can actually run your heterogeneous to have different sources of data on a single platform with variety of queries set available in SQL and using Spark as a computation engine, on demand SQL Server pools, everything. Flexibility, you can have ingestion into almost from every type of source, as and also as in terms of developers, it will be it will be very much productive for the developers as well. It will make their life easier for the development people, like the data engineers or the scientist. They'll have one platform with very good uh, graphical user interface, where they don't need to go so much deep for little things, and they don't have to waste their time, for example, on configurations or some if you take an example of Spark memory executors, that we have to do it previously, but Databricks has defined it and all of this, but still this Azure Synapse Analytics has some different capabilities, which I don't think so other solutions everywhere do have. It also integrates Databricks as well, so developer could you know utilize it to to make their self more productive. You'll see. Now we'll come to a point where we see different uh, services and what they really mean in Azure Synapse Analytics. So first of all, Azure Synapse Analytics provides you a workspace, and under that workspace, right, you will have what? You will have a capability of ingestion. You will have a capability of storage. You will have a capability of computation. You will have a capability to visualize, as we discussed earlier. But this will let you know some other things, like using what sort of tools you will be able to ingest, stir, or compute. And similarly, there are certain things like Azure Synapse Studio. This is the gateway of accessing all these under this workspace. And then you can monitor and management and see the security wise things in your uh, data pipelines and whatever the flows you have wrought. So let us see firstly in ingestion, there are ADF pipelines available. These ADF pipelines, these ADF pipelines are traditional, that you use in your Azure Data Factory traditionally. And under that, you could have ADF mapping data flows, where you can actually have a complete data flow, where you can have like data coming from some place, then uh, you can actually transform it into different ways. You can have such a flow where you then store the data somewhere where you really want. And this ADF mapping data flows were kind of not really available in ADF, but yeah, people who did use ADF can do this. Then you'll see the storage. There is relational database storage. We have EDLS Generation 2 data lake. This is very a good kind of storage that's available right here in your analytics platform. Then you can have Spark tables. This is the new feature, Cosmos DB. You can use this, and these storages, they can be computed or can be accessed via some great SQL provisioned tools which are dedicated. And the main feature, I would say, or the star feature of your Azure Synapse Analytics, which is basically SQL on demand spool. This is the star feature of your Azure Synapse, and you can actually uh, get data from ATL generation to data lakes, Power Tables, Cosmos DB using your SQL on demand tools, and then you can have your Apache Spark pools, and you can actually use Apache Spark pools to get your data from Cosmos DB, and and finally is the visualization. You can do Power BI visualization using your schemas available in SQL on demand pools and your dedicated pools. And if you can have reporting that is based on demand, you will see this the cost effectiveness. This will reduce your cost even to 60-70%. Yeah. So uh, now we'll see like how Azure Synapse have packaged all that into Azure Synapse Studio. I mean, Synapse Analytics is a whole solution, and then what each of its components really mean, or what sort of platform and what actually it provides you. So Synapse Analytics is the complete package, as you can see, and then Azure Synapse Studio is a thing. It's a software as a service tool, web-based tool, which will give you a gateway to go into the platform, and then you can use multiple languages. Then you have, on demand and provisioned uh, pools available, and you have SQL and Spark, right? SQL Analytics, which you can write T-SQL, then you have Spark pools available, where you can write your Spark codes, and then there's data integration. We have platform services of for management, security, monitoring for that integration, and there is Azure Data Lake Storage. We already have seen in previous slide, which is available in your Azure Synapse Analytics complete package, right? So this is what Azure provides you. Now, uh, now we'll come to a point. As we went through a complete package of Azure Synapse and see what it has in under its package. Now we'll see how Azure Synapse, in terms of processing, it really works, like which is the backbone, obviously, to the computation power it has over the other cloud solutions. So the basic principle on which Azure Synapse is working on is massively parallel processing. On the contrary, we have the previous solutions that do work on multiprocessing, but that is symmetric multiprocessing. In that, we have an individual, you know, task given to different CPUs parts. So they are doing that part. But in case of massively parallel processing, where the same task being divided into different, resources. So we can take an example where we can see what is the difference in between the massively parallel processing while in symmetric multiprocessing. Just let us suppose that we have a deck of card, and that deck of card is being given, and you have a task to get king of diamonds, for example. And if you are a single person who has to find that, then you'll take, for example, 5 minutes. And if I increase your speed will be increased to, let us say, 50% improved, and you will select that card under 2.5 minutes. But if you are doing what 2.5 minutes, you are single, you are a 2.5 minutes resource, and what we'll do is we'll find 26 resources like you who can run that 52 cards in like 2.5 minutes. But what we'll do is we found 26 resources, and we divide each of the two cards to these 26 resources. So it will be done almost in 10 to 12 seconds, right? So massively parallel processing works on this principle. I hope this makes sense to you people. So that's why it's so fast. And as once we have understood the concept of massively parallel processing, now we'll see how this is implemented under Azure Synapse Analytics. Here is the implementation. You can see there is a control node. This is actually the brain. This is actually the brain of Azure Synapse. This brain is doing what? It's actually, you know, communicating with all the compute nodes or slave nodes. And there is something that is called this DMS. This is an algorithm that is running over each node, which is actually telling them what sort of thing they have to do. I mean, this DMS is actually something, an algorithm that's on each node, and it's a kind of providing them and giving them a sync and everything. So let us see firstly, you know, what is actually step-by-step things that Azure Synapse do. Firstly, user connects to appliance control node and submits a query. You are a user, you are using Azure Synapse, you actually write a query in the query editor, and you submit it using Spark SQL on demand cluster in Azure Synapse. What it will do, control node, this control node, that is brain, it would do it, query processor determines the best parallel query plan. He'll give you the best query plan. This control node will generate a query plan, right? Then DMS, that I already told you, distributes that query plan and creates whatever the query plan has been given by control node. DMS will do what? It, it distributes the queries to each of the computers, same as I told you. You have 52 deck of cards, for example, 52 deck of cards query has been generated, and what DMS will do, it will divide, for example, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 things available. So 52 divided by 4, it'll give you almost uh, 52 divided will give you when 23, right? So 23 might not work like properly here. So it will give you almost 12 each, right? Somehow 13 each. So yeah, 13 each here into in a scenario where we have 4 compute nodes. So 13 cards to each node, right? And then what will happen in the next step, each compute node exists query and its subset of data. For example, 13 cards given to each of the compute node. And what they'll do, uh, they'll actually try to find your king of diamond, right? And each compute node returns a subset of the response to the controller. For example, 13 cards, it has searched into the 13 cards. It says, no, I haven't found the king of diamonds, so it will submit a response over here to your control node. Similarly, this will do the same, and this will do the same. For example, if we get the first response as a yes, so we don't have to go through the responses of each, but we have some competition work going on, so we have to done certain for example, calculations, and then we need all the responses, timely, and we can then control node will see. So next will be if necessary, control node does any final integration computation if required, and control node returns results to the user. So this is how your Azure Synapse work under the belts. In the balance storage, this one has been missed, but this balance storage is something that is assigned with each of the compute nodes, and you don't know how many if they are compute nodes. I mean, this is something under the belt running on, and we don't know SQL on demand thing that do decide it dynamically. And you have a storage along with your each compute node where it can put the data temporarily, and DMS tells each compute node to put how much data and then compute it and get it back and then give it back to the control node. So this is the logical architecture, you would say, of computation, how your Azure Synapse do the computations. Now we have the idea what Azure Synapse provides us. We have the idea. It has the part of ingestion, it has the part of computation, it has the part of visualization, and we see that how do it compute its queries and how and what principle it's working on. Now we'll see what options in terms of data engineering side. The data engineering main operation obviously is ETL, right? So we'll see ETL is extract, transform, and load. We already told you what data engineers are more concerned about. So it has five options. First is your data factory, T-SQL on demand, T-SQL on demand and provision, okay, and Synapse Perk and Databricks. So these are options you have available in your Azure Synapse to perform your ETL tasks. It's basically for data engineers. We are focused on the engineering, so data engineering side of Azure Synapse. So we have to see what option it really gives us for extraction, transformation, and loading the process. Okay. And once we know the ETL and we have done the ETL, right? So the next will be to ability of a tool to create a pipeline, okay, where we can have ingestion, transform, and load, right? So where we have the connectors available. So it's a complete orchestration of data from one point to other with an ability to move data on certain triggers and all that. So this is basically we have some transformations of copy data, machine learning, batch executions, and Synapse notebooks and Spark job definitions that provides you a orchestration hub kind of a thing in your Azure Synapse Analytics. Now, as I mentioned previously, the pipelines. Pipelines are the backbone or the main thing that we, uh, as a data engineer, focused on. Our main task is basically to create something. We are extracting some sort of data. Maybe we're performing data profiling tasks and we are transforming it and then loading it, or maybe we are creating a data flow. So it always be a pipeline, for example, which has a starting point, which has a finishing point. So in terms of pipelines, it has the ability to load data from storage account, link services, from or by you can down it by orchestration that we have seen, right? So you have copy tasks, you have data sources, you data lake storages, as your SQL database, MySQL, many others. And what benefits you will be having in creating pipelines in Synapse will be support common loading patterns, fully parallel loading into data lake or SQL, graphical development experience. That's something very useful. Once you can have a good graphical user interface as a developer, you really enjoy it, and you can focus more on your work. And it's also quite a bit it becomes a bit easier for you to play around the graphical things. As we have seen ETL side of things, we have seen some orchestration. Now we've seen like what option it provides in ETL, how we can build a pipeline, and now we'll see once we have created a pipeline. As I told you, you can orchestration is something that data will flow from one point to other, right? Raw data will be orchestrating from point to point. So right now, we'll see as a complete solution, we have created a pipeline. There are so many activities, uh, right? Some transformations, and that's been loaded into some sort of tables, and right, and their activities we're getting from integration runtime, on-prem apps, and everything. Similarly, then we have some triggers available which will trigger our pipeline. Our activity will be orchestrate from source to end, and our data will be smoothly processed. And this is how it will actually look like once you create a pipeline using your Azure Synapse. This complete orchestration will have something like this. Now we'll see under the package. The main thing I already told you, that is what that is SQL on demand. So we have a focus area now as SQL on demand. In SQL on demand, there are some pools are already available, and you have to create certain pools. We have mentioned previously there are two types of pools available in Azure Synapse. One is SQL on demand. That is some built-in tool available. You don't have to create it, that's already available. But if you need your dedicated pool, then you can create one, and it will cost you accordingly. For example, it's dedicated, so it will cost you hourly, but how much time you will make it up, till then you don't destroy it, it will be costing you hourly on basis of how much competition power you gave it. So, but SQL on demand is something, the main feature I already told you, it's something pay per use service. It's wonderful. Now we'll see Synapse SQL on demand. I already told you have some scenarios to deal with. It's firstly, it's used for discovery and exploration, and it will only cost you for whatever the query you're running. And it can also do your data transformations, right? So I don't think so. You really need a dedicated server. You can do certain things from your Azure Synapse on demand SQL pools. Yeah. So these are the two kind of scenarios that we can do, which you can see in discovery and exploration what is in the file, how many rows are there, what's the max value, SQL demand, which is data lake exploration to even a right click can give you exploration experience, and we'll see that in our uh, demo today. Data transformations can be how to connect CSVs to Parquet quickly, how to transform the raw data. That what you can do easily using SQL on demand. And we'll do that. We'll see that in our demo as well. So yeah, this is what we can do using SQL on demand. Now we'll see some features and benefits of your SQL on demand pool, right? Your SQL on demand pool have what interactive queries that provides you what T-SQL queries or high scale data in Azure storage. We'll see what it really looks like. This is your SQL on demand query, right? And it's being, SQL on demand query, you can say, or it's a computation engine in concept you can consider. And you can connect your this Power BI with it, Azure Data Studio with it, SSMS with it, SQL DW with it, EONER, Azure storages you can read and write using SQL on demand. And one more than wonderful thing is what you can have your Spark tables, and those Spark sync table definitions you can get it, and then you can run those using what your SQL on demand. And this is a very powerful feature. Some data engineers, if they are in there, they knew that if they have some Spark definitions tables available, and they can run SQL on demand, because as a service in Spark pool in Azure Synapse, they are not on demand. They are dedicated pools. So if we can have the definitions and then we can run using SQL on demand, so we can get cost effective. What are the benefits? Serverless, no infrastructure. As I already told you, pay only for query execution. This is important. No such hefty deal required. You can actually explore your data. We have seen the scenarios. It offers you security. We'll see the more, deep into it, how it provides you security. Then that integration, with data bricks and text query data, everything. Stores the BI ecosystem and supports the CSV JSON file formats. And it's to be honest, SQL on demand is a very revolutionized sort of thing provided by Microsoft to us that really makes the life easier. Once we'll see in the demo, you'll be able to get more into it. As I mentioned earlier, Spark pools, they are available. They are not on demand. They actually are uh, dedicated. So it depends. Its cost will depend on how much you need, what computation power you really need. And according to that, you can create your Spark pools and you can do your Spark computations over it. And you will have the experience in people having on running on HTTP clusters, and it will be more faster. To be honest, it will be more faster. It will be more easy to use thing. Reusable codes will be easy. Everything will be quite a bit good. Yeah. Ah, being part like link services. This is some additional feature, but link services gives this tool more power. It has the more power because it can link many services along with it. So it can link mainly Power BI. This is the thing, wonderful, that you can have the visualization experience along with, you can create certain reports on a single platform where you are doing your data engineering work. And then you can see there are 85 plus connectors available in terms of link services. Easy cross-platform migrations. You are using some SAP open hub, and then you wanted to migrate somewhere, then you can connect it using your Synapse Analytics, and you can use that whatever in it, and you can transform that using Azure Synapse. So it just so makes Azure Synapse so powerful that we can't even imagine how much capabilities and connectors it do have. As I mentioned, we come to the part of security, right? So it's been, you know, security is the main focused area, I would say. A big area after SQL on demand is security in Azure Synapse. Azure Synapse and Microsoft has put a lot of effort, to make it secure, because cloud has a big threat of always. Whenever we talk about cloud, one thing come along with it, that is security. Everybody, we always go for on-prem data because we really don't want our data to be risky. But in case of Azure Synapse, you can see it provides you security, data protection in transit, in trust, access control, row level security, column level security, authentications, network security, threat protections, everything almost. There's no aspect of security that is missing from Azure Synapse, right? We see but more deep into security. In SQL, it is security, and they are doing what data protection, access control, authentication, network security, threat protection has been, it's basically graphical, what you can see, and presentation where you got an idea like, from this house you're using the Synapse Analytics, and it's providing you all these sort of things and defense in depth. There is another thing that Azure Synapse did is what they actually provide you security, but there is threat protection business requirements. You, according to your requirement, you can actually set up your threat protection, and accordance with that, it will protect you from those threats. For example, to detect and resolve any data exploration or SQL injection attacks. Okay, to mitigate any security misconfiguration before they become a serious issue. So these are the two examples, but you can have your requirements, and then you can have threat protection in accordance with that. Then it comes to the point where you see much more, what more really in terms of security as a Synapse has given us, right? It gives us something log analytics and event hubs where we can see who has run what sort of query, what that person has done, using your turning on your SQL auditing, and analyze your audit log. And it's also known that data engineers have to put a lot of efforts to make audit logging available in ETL solutions or data engineering solution. It has a different uh, development cost whenever we have to make a pipeline or design a solution for data warehouse. But in Azure Synapse, you have a built-in audit logging, analyze audit logs, everything is available, row level security, column level security, everything is available. You can check that. And you can even monitor your data, how many rows have been inserted and all that in Azure Synapse. Now we'll move to the part where we were talking about to our demo. So let us go to our demo and see what we have show what we have prepared for you. Firstly, will tell you about some features physically, what they are. Then we let you know what sources kind of does it support. We'll show you that ingestion pipeline that we have created, a kind of a demo pipeline. Then we have we'll tell you and how you can work with SQL on demand. And finally, we'll give you preview like how you can visualize your data using Power BI in Azure Synapse. So these what our demos consist of on these points. So let us go and see what we have for you in demo. So here we are starting with our demo. Firstly, we'll uh, get you through to some of the features that are available in Azure Synapse. First of all, as we mentioned in our presentation, that you need to create a workspace, Synapse workspace. So for that, you need to go to portal.azure.com, and then under your resources, you have to create Azure workspace, right? And for example, you go to this resource that been allocated to you, and then go and see what you can actually create. And just type Synapse over here. It will give you Azure Synapse Analytics workspace as an option to create. If you go and create it, it will ask you certain, you know, uh, your subscription, it will ask you for some SQL Server or SQL base password and username and a little bit more details, and you'll be able to create your own Azure Synapse base workspace. Once you are done with that, you will have a workspace like this in your portal, is Azure portal. So once you have that, you will able to see an overview. You will have a workspace the URL for your subscription. Once you click on it, you will get this window. So now this is the Azure Synapse Studio we were talking about. In our presentation, first you have to get a workspace. Under that workspace, you will have software service, Azure Synapse Studio. Under that, will able to have ingestion, data, pipelining, monitoring, and everything. So what we can do is we can ingest our data, explore, analyze, and visualize. We see the use case for demo uh, we have illustrated in the demo is what we have made a demo pipeline basically where we are using three files. We are keeping them in a raw folder in our generation tool like data lake storage, right? So you can see we are having three copy data activities where we have a source data set is our Excel based source, right? And we are syncing it to a destination in Parquet. So we are getting our source and we are actually converting that file into Parquet, and we have three files available which are in Excel based source, and we are converting them to a Parquet. So in raw form, they are in Excel. When they are curated, they are converted into Parquet, and we are storing these, and we're getting these from our Azure data lake, and we are storing it into our Azure Synapse data lake. So we'll see the source we have set up for one of our activities or pipeline activities that we're doing. So you can see here we have a linked service, right? So you can check and edit it and see once you are doing a copy data activity, you'll have all of these things, and there you can tell that if you want to use your as you data lake storage in 2, then you have to tell that and give these details, and it will actually connect you with that. And then under that, you have to tell the file path under your Azure data lake to storage, where your file system is, where it's the folder, and it is the file that I want to pick as a source, right? So this is how your source will be defined, and then where you want to keep it, you have to make a connection. Some people who has done work in Azure Data Factory are familiar with it. So you have to tell again, we are keeping it under Azure Data Lake Storage 2, and we have a folder curated. We are getting from raw folder and putting it into a curated folder, and file name is not given because it's once we store data into it, it will take the file name as it is, we'll provide it. So this is our pipeline. So you can add a trigger to this pipeline. You can add a new trigger which can schedule this pipeline. But we're not schedule. If you want to trigger it now, you can click on trigger now, and your pipeline start running. Once your pipeline start running, you can monitor it using this feature, and it will have following things like last 24 hours timeline given, all the pipeline that ran under 24 hours will given here, and status where is success or not, and you can actually go and see further into the activities of your reloading pipelines, that what has been happened to each activity, and in this way you can monitor your pipelines. You secretly can monitor all other things, but for now in our demo we are concerning with only our pipeline. So once what in our demo we're doing is we are getting the files from raw folder and putting them into the curated folder with a change data form. So let us see now into our storage. As many of the people know that uh, in S3 you can see uh, what the files are, what the folders are. So here, if you go to data and see linked, here you're able to see our Azure data 2 storage, right? Azure Synapse file system. Now your Azure Synapse file system, you will be able to see what you're able to see your files and your folders and your files. As I told you, we are getting those files from curated folder, right? And we are putting, they are, oh, sorry, we are, sorry, we are getting the files from raw folder. Okay. Under the raw folder, you can say they have an XLSX extension. It means they are Excel files. And we are converting them to Parquet files and putting them into Parquet folder. So now this is our curated files that are available in our Azure Synapse file system. So once we have ingested our data in Azure Synapse, Azure Data Lake, now we will see that we talk about in as a star feature, that was Azure SQL on-demand pools. So in that case, what you have to do, for example, we have effect audits and what we want to see what is underlying this data. So as it is a Parquet format file, so you know that once you have the Parquet file, if you're using Spark, you have to read that file. Then you have to do what you have to create a data frame over that Parquet file, and then you will be able to see what data is in it. So it's a kind of a coding exercise in there. But using your Azure SQL Server tool, you can directly write an SQL query over a Parquet file. Let us see how it works. By clicking simply on over this, you will be able to see, this is the first scenario we talk about, exploring your data up. Underlying files are in Parquet format, and we are analyzing our data using SQL query. You will be able to see, look, this is the underlying data under our file, right? So you are able to explore that data. As you can see, it has taken 18 seconds in the first run. If we run it again, it will take less time because it has created your schema underlying, and it will run a bit more faster, I believe. See, and seems like some issue with our, you can see there it is. We have got the result. You can see we have got the result, and now we will run again this query to see what is underlying it and how much time does it take again. I can see in the first run, it took almost 18 seconds. In the second run, it was something with our internet, right? So that's may cause it to trouble. Other than that, it has executed the query in 13 seconds. So it will take a bit time in the first run, but then once you do your query, you run your query once, it will take less time. So you will be able to explore the data in that fashion. And now, what's the more interesting feature? You can actually visualize your data. This is even a much more powerful sort of a solution. In that case, what you can see here, we are having all the columns, but you can actually make a quick visualization using whatever columns you need, and you can crop it, save that image, and then you can use that image for your presentation work and all other things without having any BI tool. I mean, you can create your own reports. As you can see, the profit is on here, and we add a ship date as a category column. And now what you can see is day level profits, right? If you want to add And other thing here, for example, you want to see day level sales in here. So then you can add the sale column along with the profits. You will be able to see the sales. There's a profit line and there's a sale line. So this is a very quick visualization that we have done using Azure Synapse. What we did, we have underlying Parquet file, then we have actually created a visualization over it. So if you can imagine, if you're using Spark and the tool, we can't do that right in such clicks. So this is some amazing feature, and we are doing it using your built-in SQL serverless on-demand SQL pool. Yeah. But we can create a dedicated pool if we really want, because I already told you there's an option available. Now we have, as we are done with the part of exploring your data up, right? Now we'll see how we can actually transform certain things, and you can actually make a view of this data set, and you can store that view into a SQL serverless database. As you can see, one of that we have already available in here. This is one part. Now, as many of you people have worked on Hive, so in Hive, you people have seen that to create external tables. So we can do same thing here. We can create an external table, our underlying file, and we can actually save our schema, and we can enforce certain data types. And every time, whenever we run that, the query will go to the file, and it won't need any sort of dedicated server every time. So for that, as you can see, we have to right click and we have to go to create an external table. And for example, this temp table you have to name, and now it will do what, it will open a script for you to create that table up. And now you can enforce each of the data type as you like, and you can then create this table under your SQL Server uh, database. That, and you can create a new database if you want by just clicking on new. It could be serverless, it could be dedicated. As we don't have any dedicated pool available right now, so we created serverless. So it depends on you. So you can create an external table like this, and once you create an external table, it will come here in your demo SQL DB, as you can see. And now you can select your data under that table by and can query it, right? So you'll be able to query that data as well. And every time, you don't need to go to them, you have this schema available every time. And as you can see, it takes only 6 seconds to load data right now. It's quite a bit fast. So we are done with SQL Server, serverless pool, different features, like we can explore our data, we can transform data, and we can create external tables, we can create views as per our liking. And then basically these are the transformations that we did, and then we can use those schemas of our views, and we can attach those views with link services. Now we go to this part of link services. As we already told you that here okay, okay. So now we'll come to the part where we talk about some link services here. Whatever you have created in here as a data, you can actually access it using your link services. And one of the main link services, Power BI, that we have shown you in the demo as well. Whatever the workspace you have created in your Power BI, and once you connect it here, you can have those workspaces here. For example, we have a Power BI workspace one connected with our Azure Synapse. Whatever the reports underlying in that, whatever the reports are underlying that Power BI will be available in there. So let us see what report we have underlying there. Yeah, you can see uh, there is a report profit by month, right? There's a report sales and profit by product name. So similarly, you can tweak each of the report if you like. I mean, you can create a new report if you like. You can create a funnel, you can create a table, you will have all the data you really need. You can add cities, right? You can add discounts under the values. Now let's just see and open it again. See how much time does it take. Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of time. Now let's see. It's loading the data, right? And you have a loaded data over here, and you want to add new, for example, table and new visualization. So what you can do, you can drag that visualization over here in accordance to your need, and in time you can actually see that will come, because it's taking time, because there's something, it's kind of delay with your internet connection. So once you resolve that, you'll be able to see the reports even here. There's the workspace, and these are the reports. These are the data sets which are here along with this report. So if we click on this report, we'll be able to see what everything we have under like this report will be available here in Azure Synapse. And yes, as you can see, there are two pages available here in this demo sample report. This is basically a stack column chart, and here we have a, column, you could say bar chart, which is showing sales and profit. So if you want to add another page and make another visualization, you can do that here in Synapse quite a bit easily. For example, you can see we can add another funnel here, and that funnel would have discounts, and that discounts could be, grouped on date. Okay, so you can have different groupings like this, year, quarter, and then this will be the day level grouping. So that you can have your reports, and you can build your reports, and you can edit your reports in Azure Synapse for the very easy way, under the same platform, under the same show, under the same platform. So it's very um, useful feature of Azure Synapse, that they provide you certain new link services. There's another thing that you can do alongside this. You can see these are some data sets available. This is a demo sample data set that is this is related to that report that we have. So this data set is actually related to the demo sample report. But now if we want to create a new Power BI data set, so we can create certain data sets on basis of our Azure, SQL, serverless SQL, or you could say on-demand pool databases. Like here, you can see once you click over here, it will start downloading a Power BI file, which will have a connection with your on-demand pool. So it's again a very useful feature where you can just by clicking you can have a Power BI desktop file which have all the connections. You just need to give the credentials and then start working on a database which you have created on-demand database. So this is it from our demo side. Now we have some top documentation links for you that you can go through by yourself, and you can find the best practices for SQL Pool in Azure and all other things. It's for some learning stuff. And then there is something an exclusive of an offer for you people who are watching in there. If you have a business, so we we offer you our service on $0. We are much more cost effective than uh, than Azure Synapse. So if you combine ourselves with Azure Synapse, you will having the like the most efficient cost ever. So we'll provide you 3 hours assessment. We'll give you the gaps in your solutions and that assessment of your existing application. These 3 hours include review of the documentation, understand the business requirements, and we'll elaborate on how we implement these processes. And this will be done absolutely free. So you can contact us on the provided email over here. So That's it kind of from presentation side. I'm open to any questions from you people. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me with you. It was my pleasure to talk about so Synapse with you people. Take care of yourself.